Congratulations, you're another lucky no prize winner. You'll find it enclosed.
Hello again, and welcome to another episode of No Prize Podcast. I am your host, the Professor Bud Young, and with me, as always, from across the pond is Johnny the Machine Hughes. How are you, Johnny?
Hola, señores.
Oh, and also with us is to Lucas. Lucas, where are you from anyway? You're East Coast, right?
I'm on the East Coast. I'm in the Washington D.C. area, the metro area, you know. So if y'all want to hit me up, if you want to find me, just find me at any of the comic book conventions in the D.C. area.
Redskins suck.
Yes, they do.
Hey, we said no football talk.
National suck.
I was gonna tease Lucas and say, when was Washington D.C.'s first appearance, but
well, I'm a Philadelphia fan. I'm a Philadelphia sports fan. Eagles. Yeah.
You ever go up for the games?
No. I have never been. I have only been to one actual NFL game, and that was actually in New Orleans.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and it was pretty crazy because one time I was in university, and then we had traveled from Mississippi to New Orleans just to hang out for the weekend. And as we were walking by, this guy just walks up to us. He says, "Hey man, do you want to see a game?" I was like, "What the hell are you talking about?" And he gives us 2 NFL tickets, man, and I'm talking about really premium tickets, man.
Wow.
And we went in, and we were like, okay, this is cool. But the thing was, we were so exhausted, so drunk off our asses, so exhausted that after like the first 15 minutes, man, the first quarter, we were done. I think we woke up like halfway through the fourth quarter, man. And that was
That's the race of cheerleaders, man. Yes,
That's true. It's true. All right, so we're gonna keep it short today. We got 4 books we're gonna review. And let's see what we're going to start with. Johnny, let's start with you with Age of X-Men Alpha.
All right, okay, cool.
Number 1, and the one shot.
The one book that started out. All right, okay. So this is written by outside the panels, friends of the show, Zach Thompson and Lonnie Nadler. I've seen a lot of their independent stuff, and of course they're on cable last year for a little bit of an issue run there. That was decent. Arts by Ramon Rosanas, potentially. Colours by Triona Farrell. Letters by VC Clayton Cowles, who you can see on Heroes in Crisis. All right, so basically this is the first book of the new Age of X-Men. So you've gone through all the events and everything's happened, and now Xavier's dream has come to life. Mutants are no longer persecuted because everybody's a mutant. Great. Here's my question. If everybody's a mutant, why are we still calling them mutants? Because mutants means like a derivative of a species. This isn't a derivative. This is the species. So why are we still calling them mutants? Just saying.
I can tell where this is going. Go ahead.
What? Reading the book, I did like some of the bits and some of the like kind of quirks and the twists and stuff. Does anybody remember the show Sliders?
I think I do.
Dimly.
Yeah, so Sliders, they used to go to different planets, and the planet could be just like our own or dramatically different.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the show of those little cheeseburgers.
No, Sliders with Jerry O'Connell.
John Rhys Davies. I get it.
Yes,
Yeah. I get it.
With the Super Bowl snacks in mind. That's all I'm saying. So this book kind of reminds me of that. The other thing I thought about reading this book, does anybody have a copy of Spider-Man Annual Number 1? The one where the Sinister Six are first in it? If not, dig a copy out, get it on download, whatever, Comixology it, because this book reads like that. What do you say? Really? Yes. Because in the first 3 pages of that book, Spider-Man bumps across Daredevil, the Fantastic Four make an appearance, Thor makes an appearance, and at the bottom of every panel it says, you can catch up with Thor's latest adventures in such and such and such and such. And reading this book, it's like something happens, which you have to buy another book to find out what goes on.
Yeah.
Now, as much as I like a crossover, as much as the next person, and this is not aimed in any sort of critical comment on the writing by the guys who wrote this, because I absolutely love their work. It is just the nature of the beast. Is there enough going on with these little, check this out, X-Man, whatever the next book's going to be called, we haven't made up our mind yet. Is it enough to get you to whet your appetite and buy the book? I don't know. It's your call, man. It's like there's going to be umpteen of the damn thing, so you might as well buy a few and see what's going on. Art-wise, it's a little simple in places, I think. The dreaded 9-panel page makes an appearance. I thought that was a DC thing, so Marvel, watch out for the trademark infringement. Bishop and Jean Grey, I didn't have a problem with that at all. I thought there was a nice character development going on. And then, of course, the whole, you've done something wrong, let's kick his ass for something, but God knows how that works. Overall, it's a nice little sideways step, because you know it doesn't matter in the long run, because it's all going to get bounced back to normal anyway. So the question is it big enough an interest for you to waste your money on this if you know the status quo is coming back? And of course, as Lucas is going to tell us about, there's umpteen bloody variant covers to choose from.
Right. So, so there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 7 freaking covers on this thing, and
there's more covers than X-Men.
And the customers are talking with their wallets. Nobody's buying any of these doggone covers. I think there is one cover. I think it's the George Perez cover, the Hidden Gem cover. It's that one is sold out, but it's actually not a bad cover because it's got Spider-Man. It's got some of the original X-Men. It's got Cyclops, Storm. It's got Wolverine on there. It's just like it's got Jean on there. So that one's, and it's got Nightcrawler on there. So it's like an old quality art, classical thing. But that's one that's cost like $5, right? That one's sold out. However, there's another one that is a virgin cover of that one. That's a 1 in 100, which is going to cost you about $185. Nobody's buying that thing. Everybody's that. Because I think you're hitting on it, man. We don't know if there's enough in here to want to buy it. Do I see some new people, new characters in here that could get some interest? I don't know. Maybe there's some interesting things going on in here. I like the flow. I like the story. It wasn't lost on me the irony of Bobby, Iceman, who was the flagship homosexual for the Marvel Universe, busting in on Bishop and Jean's relationship, saying that what you guys are doing is unnatural. Yeah. That you guys have to get hauled off. That was pretty damn good. It was pretty simple. So I think this was aimed at more for guys like me who just need a simple story to get caught up on.
Here's a question. Can I just ask a quick question? How did you find that whole unnatural romance thing? Because I've read it a couple of times, and you can take it. Is it because it's mutant loving mutant, which they're all mutants because everybody's the same now, or is it the racial thing? I don't get it. I'm not quite sure what they're trying to impart on this.
Well, I'm pretty sure they'll explain it in one of these other stories that they were saying, "Hey, go buy this and read that."
Yeah, probably. Yeah, good shout.
That was basically tune into Extremists #1 for more on what the hell Iceman meant by that.
Yeah. Sure.
So what did you think about it, Lucas?
Um,
Overall,
Overall, I like the story. I like the flow. I like some of the little innuendos. Like I said, I like the whole thing of Bobby busting in on Gene Bishop. I like that part. Um, the only thing that kind of rubs me is once again these covers that are really expensive, but there's nothing really definitive that I should have to buy 7 doggone covers for this thing yet. Um, so I mean, overall, I mean, I love it. Like, what's the highest we can give it right now? Is what it's a flaming giant.
Lamar.
It's
flaming
a
pile.
right. It's got me interested in getting some of the other stories and reading through the story. Um, but as far as making me as a collector, as a speculator, hot for hey, let me go ahead and buy these other covers. It's a downplay for me. Do not buy a whole bunch of these covers expecting to make money off of this thing. Just buy this for the story. That's all.
So
I think-
yeah, go ahead, Johnny.
Sure. So I think that for me it's a bit of a stretch,
Okay.
which is
Okay.
better than a Sue Storm. I think that I think you're right from a speculation point of view, until we find out what's actually happening when the big red button gets pressed again and everything's reset. We don't know which of the first appearances of these characters are, because, to be fair, does anyone give a rat's ass about a first appearance of a character that only appears once?
Yeah. So just to be clear, with the first appearance that I'm talking about, there is a little girl who happens to have like Omega level abilities that she can freeze everybody on the doggone Earth. But I don't even remember if they named her. I don't think they even gave her
Luna. It's Luna.
Luna. Okay. So take that for what you will. If you want to speculate on that, that's up to you guys. But I'm not speculating until I know more about it.
That's a great view. Speculate on the first appearance of a character that you can't remember the name of.
Well, that's that. I guess that's the question. Is that Quicksilver's daughter, Luna?
Is it?
Dun dun dun.
Dun
One
dun
quick
dun.
question before we get to the Professor. Sorry, Professor, I keep stealing your thunder.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm a lapsed Marvel fan until I was on MPP. There's iterations and hints here that Bishop and Jean Grey had a relationship previously. Is that right?
I don't recall them ever having a relationship, and I'm not a lapsed Marvel fan.
Well, I think they did allude to it that they never really had time before to develop a relationship. I think that's what they were trying to allude to. But now that things are kind of copacetic in the mutant world, that they had a time to actually develop something.
All right, okay, cool. It was kind of like hinted at that they've done this before, but I was kind of like, okay, all right, cool.
Well, I'm just kind of trying to turn Jean Grey into as much of a slut as Storm is. But anyway.
Psylocke.
Psylocke, yeah, Psylocke even better. So a couple of things that I want to mention before I kind of get into my review here. So I think that the cover why everybody's buying the George Perez cover is that George announced his retirement last week. So that is probably, not probably because George is awesome, but could be a reason why that might shoot up in price. You might want to pick it up, because I don't even know if that might be his last work.
Okay.
So
And it's an awful cover as well if you look at it. So I'm just saying, I've got to be honest. I've never been a huge George Perez fan. So.
Well, I have been. So anytime I see a good George Perez interior cover or whatever, I do like my George Perez. So, other than that, come on, this is Age of X-Men Alpha #1, not to be confused with Age of Apocalypse that happened 25 years ago. Which and Johnny, you said it 10 minutes ago. Everything's going to be fixed at the end of the story, and it just seems this is another thing that makes me mad about the House of Ideas, because there's just no more ideas. They're just redoing this story with a little twist. This is reverse House of M.
Well,
right? Not no more mutants. It's everybody's a mutant.
The thing is, and we've said this before about Marvel's lack of ideas. Let's be a little bit honest, because I sometimes think that we pick on Marvel, even though we're kind of Marvel fans, and whether you like the new stuff, old stuff, in between stuff. Can we just let's give some credit where credit's due, in that the whole comic book industry goes through this recycle deal. It's not just Marvel that kind of do the same sort of things. I mean, how many times has Batman had a Robin, for Christ's sakes?
Oh no, I totally agree with you, Johnny. Totally agreement.
Some of this rehash is because of the industry, not just Marvel. Ideally, we would like to see Marvel do something a little bit better when they come to rehash it, like kind of give something more. So I hate to say the distinguished competition, but Rebirth really worked for DC. Yet the renumbering policy in Marvel, when it goes back to the classic numbers or the triangles or whatever it was last year, it just didn't work. Why didn't it work?
Right. Well, I agree with you. It's and then when I think about it, because I'm arguing against myself a little bit, is that Age of Apocalypse happened a friggin' generation ago. when you think about it. So I guess I agree with you there. And I do love going back and reading like old Batman stories and everything. And there's elements in there that are repeated over and over again, much like you said with the how many Robins have there been. So I see if someone says, hey, maybe we could do this again and make it better, or update it, I agree with you there. So I'll give it a shot. I won't clobber it like you say, like I was ready to do.
Really?
But,
hey, check it out.
All right, so here's another complaint. Is this Nick Fury or is this Bishop? I have, I'm looking at it.
Exactly.
Is that Nick Fury? I thought that was Nick Fury. Like the first 2 pages.
The thing I noticed was I think maybe Ramon Rosanas doesn't like drawing haircuts. There's more bald people in this than there is in any other book I've ever seen. It's like, what? This kid's got no hair. Storm's got no hair. Bishop's got no hair.
And so
Nightcrawler's got no hair. Yeah, I'm sure.
My other big issue with this book is, I know Thompson and Nadler. This smacks of the biggest work for hire job ever, because it's like, hey, just keep this 22-page book. Maybe we'll give you 25 pages, but just set up commercials for each of these spin-off issues that are coming out next month.
That's not on them. That's editorial, man.
Well, that's right. That's why I said work for hire, because it's not like they put this together themselves and said, hey.
Thompson and Nadler are great writers. Check out their stuff over on some of the indie stuff they've done. The Cable run they did, if you're just sticking to Marvel, was a decent little Cable story. It's I think moving forward, once we get past all this X-Men stuff, I think you'll be seeing Thompson and Nadler on one of the big X-Men books. I definitely think that. I think the writing works. I think the dialogue in the book works. The check out this in the next issue of whatever. That's all editorial, and writers have to put up with that all the time.
So the one I want to say, the one book that might intrigue me a little bit is Prisoner X #1, and that's where it looks like Bishop might have gotten wiped out of reality in the middle of this book. Did you guys notice that? When they excommunicated him, but then because earlier in the issue you see a group photo of the X-Men, and then they showed the same thing later on, and Bishop's not in it. So I'm like, well, what's going on there? So a little interesting.
It'll be interesting to see how that goes. Definitely. So I think stuff like that is interesting in its own little way. But I don't know if it's enough to make me buy every single book. I mean, how many books is there going to be? Do we know?
I don't know how many issues the limited series are, or if they're just one shots.
Let me Google while we check. Just a second.
Yeah. So the other thing that I'm wondering about is Uncanny X-Men looks like it's going to continue to be published while this is being put out. So, we're going to run into the same problem that we had during Extermination, right?
Right.
That story is going to be over and everything's going to be resolved before the continuity is just a mess again.
Right, so X-Men line relaunching with 6 new miniseries. Woo. How many issues are there in the thing? It doesn't necessarily say. I don't know what it says. On the while we're still talking about X-Men, did anyone read the annual with Cyclops coming back?
I did.
Yes. Yes. I think we talk about that a couple weeks ago, I believe.
Maybe we did. Right, Age of the Extremists are 5 issues. Prisoner X, which is where Bishop turns up, is also 5 issues. The Amazing Nightcrawler is 5. So what's that? 3. Next Gen's 5. Apocalypse and the Extracts.
Wow.
Which includes a funky-looking Dazzler, is 5. So what's that? 4 different books? 1, 2,
that's 6. Yeah, that's so 5, 10,
4, 5.
Wow.
So 25 books.
25. No, 30, right? Because the 6 spinoffs, right?
Yes. How many is there? Yeah,
Marvelous X-Men.
Yeah, that's right. So 6. So 30 books plus all your variants. Enjoy that. Enjoy beating that wallet, boys and girls.
Wow. Yeah, that's. And 5 issues is more than they give some of these ongoing series, right? Just saying. I'm just saying. All right, so I'm gonna lower mine. I was gonna clobber the hell out of this book, but I'll give it a bit of a stretch because there were some spots in the book that I enjoyed. Like I said, the whole Bishop thing, it kind of intrigues me a little bit. But other than that, just skip this booking. Just get the number ones if you want to read all those friggin' limited series that are coming out. And then, who knows? You can probably just pick up on Kenny X-Men number 11 that's coming out in a couple of weeks, and you don't even need this story at all.
What I would do if you're really into the X books and you can't afford all the books, just have a check to see which one's your favorite mutants and pick that book up. So
I guess, yeah.
Because you've got Dazzler and I don't know who else is in that. To be fair, I'm looking at it. Apocalypse and Dazzler. You've got Rogue, it looks like, Magic in Next Gen, Nightcrawler's in Nightcrawler. Prisoner X, it looks like you've got the Beast, Polaris, and Bishop, were two of the people that are too similar to everybody else that I couldn't tell you the difference. And then, of course, Extremists, you've got Psylocke, Iceman. It could be the Blob and a couple others.
Yeah, Jubilee is in that too. I could see.
She?
Yeah, she's the one with those shades on.
I would not have picked that out in a million years. There you go. All right, there you go. Cool.
Yeah, I don't know. What kind of apocalypse is that, though? That looks like, Mad Mod apocalypse.
I tell you what I think it is. It's, that over in Distinguished Competition Land, they've de-aged Apocalypse and made him kind of like a hip, galaxy-destroying 25-year-old.
Oh, Darkseid, you mean?
Yeah, who did I say? Apocalypse.
You said Apocalypse.
I meant
hey, same character.
You know what? I say it all the time. Because he's from Apocalypse. Because he's from Apocalypse, I always say Apocalypse. I mean Darkseid. Yeah. So there you go. So they've kind of de-aged Darkseid. So there you go.
All right. So so nobody loving that one, but let's.
I don't. Talking about Age of the X-Men. No, I loved it.
Yeah, okay. Hey,
we had a flame on. We had a stretch.
Oh yeah, you're right. So I apologize, Lucas. Lucas.
Lucas.
Yeah, it's just the business. It's just the business side of the books that I am in agreement with you guys. Like number one, all the doggone covers, and number two, the fact that we have to jump back and forth in between all these other books to figure out what's actually going on. That kind of rubs me along, and I kind of feign interest. Like when you start telling me, "Hey, I got to go to this other book," and I'm already spending $5 on this one book. And then you want me to spend another $100 for this 1/100 for Perez. So that was an interesting tidbit about the whole George Perez thing. I must have missed that news, but we'll see. I'm gonna see if it's possible to acquire one for a little bit of money in a little bit. So
yeah.
So
Well, that news was because I follow Marv Wolfman on Twitter, and he sent it out. So he kind of announced Perez's retirement. So it kind of stinks, but what are you going to do? These guys can't work forever.
yeah, that's true.
All right,
The
so
lines in one eye, which you know what I'm saying.
so let's jump into Journey into Unknown Worlds #1.
Really?
Yeah.
Right, you picked this book, didn't you?
I picked this book for Johnny.
See,
I did.
You're an absolute. Oh.
So Lucas, I don't know if you've run into this yet, but I try to pick one book per week that I know Johnny might have an issue with, and but so you know what? Sometimes when I pick a book, he really likes it, so I just I kind of like to play with him a little bit and just kind of see what he thinks. And this is definitely not something he would normally read, I think.
Okay.
There's a reason for that.
So this is a throwback book, right? So Marvel is celebrating their 80th anniversary of being a company, and these books are throwbacks to the 50s when superheroes were not common fare, and so this is
going to throw it back.
This is why Johnny's going to throw it back. So Journey into Unknown Worlds is Marvel's like throw up to old sci-fi. Yeah, throw up. Yeah.
You're stealing all my best lines. I'm just like sure.
So it's for this the sci-fi fans, if there are any of them still out there. And there were a couple of books came out last week, and there's going to be a few more. There's send-ups to horror and in the war books, and on the front of it, I thought it was pretty interesting. Not something they don't normally do. I thought it was I was interested in checking them out, and I like the layout. I like having two stories in one issue, so that they kind of break up the monotony. So if you hate one story, maybe you like the other one. And they get today's biggest writers, from Marvel anyway, on these stories. So the first story is Bones of the Earth by Colin Bunn and Guillermo Sana on art. It's one of these weird stories. There's never never a happy ending on any of these, right?
Wow.
But they have like a couple of astronauts searching what it kind of actually looks like. It is Earth, but they end up coming across some kind of alien bone skeleton, and end up in kind of, keep a long story short, or an 8-page story short. It starts a disease spread out, and that ends up
Venom shows up.
Yeah. Maybe it's Venom, but like different skeletons. So there you go.
I think what it was is there was a parasite, and the parasite had latched on to some other alien, and that alien that had the parasite or Venom or whatever landed on Earth. So I think that's maybe what's happening.
Well, see, now this is funny because I didn't go the Venom route. I was just thinking of this as kind of a horror type story. Now it just seems like they turned Venom into a sci-fi horror story. All right. Okay. So that one, it is what it is. I mean, if you were to read this book in the 50s, I mean, it did kind of feel like a 50s book. So I mean, the feel is there. Yeah. I just don't know what the market is for something like this, and how many copies they realistically think they're going to sell.
It's aimed at me. It's aimed at me because I love horror stuff. Anytime any of these big companies are throwing out this horror stuff, that's aimed at me. The only issue is, and I hate to cut you off, and I want to let you finish what you're, is that the best part about some of those old stories, and last time Journey to Unknown Worlds printed out an issue was back in like 1957. Was the covers were absolutely awesome. The covers here, I could do. I don't need. It just doesn't have that same feel. Um, and that's what I'm looking for. Like, I don't know. This is a one shot, right? Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So I kind of want Marvel to keep going with this, but I want them to improve the covers. I want that old feel covers from back in the day.
You want that old pre-Comics Code Authority cover where they weren't worried about censorship?
Yeah, I mean, I want to see bones on the covers. I want to see flesh falling off of bones and falling off of people. I want some of that gory stuff and pre-code stuff.
So here's our discussion now that since we're only reviewing 4 books and I just popped into my head, Comics Code Authority, right? So back in the 50s when they did the Comics Code and censorship and everything to kind of rein in the youth of America, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now we've been away from the Comics Code. There hasn't been a Comics Code for over 20 years now. It seems like the industry's self-censoring themselves, right? Like it's almost we're in a worse situation than 20 years ago. That if you want to see, if they want to show blood or sex or drug use or anything like that, they're welcome to do that because there's no Comics Code Authority anymore. But it seems like the industry is kind of moving towards more of how everybo's so sensitive these days. They don't want to do anything or say anything that's going to offend anybody, so they don't do anything.
Right. Well, I think it's because maybe about 5 or 6 or 7 years ago, there was a thing where Marvel and sometimes DC, they would have these really great covers. And by great covers, I'm not talking about the hard stuff. I'm talking about these women. They had their women on there because there's like the Black Cat covers, the Catwoman covers by J. Scott Campbell and Adam Hughes. And they were great, beautiful covers. However, people were pushing back for some reason. Right?
Oh yeah.
So
Frank Cho.
Yeah. So there were some other covers, I guess, where Marvel they put up. I forget the name of the titles, but it was just Marvel women in swimsuits. I forget what the name. Do you remember? Know what I'm talking about?
That's the Marvel swimsuit illustrated issue.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right. So whenever I look at any of these YouTube videos and they're talking about the worst ideas that Marvel ever had, that always comes up. So I think Marvel is trying to not make those same mistakes again. And yes, they'll pop some in and out or not, but they're trying not to go that route again. And it's unfortunate because that I feel like J. Scott Campbell, Adam Hughes, their hands are being tied to because if you've ever seen their sketches, I mean they've got some good stuff out there, but I would like to see them on the covers, but it just seems like they're being hamstrung right now.
Who was it that got friggin' buried because of that Wonder Woman cover? Was it Adam Hughes or was it
no?
was it Frank?
Was that Frank Cho?
Frank Cho. Yeah, okay.
It was because he had there was some underwear showing under a skirt, and which makes me laugh because you can tell there's a male directing the movie Justice League for the number of up the skirt shots that are in that movie. It's awful.
Didn't Wonder Woman just run around in underwear for 50 years?
But the thing about the Comics Code is whether you like it or love it, and most people nowadays look back with quaintness, you can remember that if there's a set of rules arbitrarily put down by somebody to say you can't do this, that, and the other, that just makes writers and artists that much more creative to get around the rule. I remember reading stuff by Bruce Timm and Paul Dini when they used to be on the Batman the Animated TV show, and they'd say things like, "How the hell did we manage to get away with using real guns that fire real bullets on a cartoon show?" And I think, that's absolutely right. When you watch Batman the Animated series, it's ultra violent. There's lots of stuff going on. Yeah, kids enjoy it, but we look back at it and we think Batman the Animated Series is the best Batman cartoon show ever, and rightly so because it does have its strong episodes. It's
Well, I mean,
kind of-
it gave us Harley Quinn. So
yeah, exactly. So you kind of and that was under the curfew of Fox TV or whichever TV net was it Fox? I think it was Fox originally. So if you've got stuff going on, if you've got like some sort of rules that say you can't do this, that, and the other, and you still manage to tell some great stories, that just shows you how good a creator you are at getting around that sort of rule. Whether or not, and without the code, it means that some people can just write hack stories, ultra violent, ultra gory, ultra sexy, which hey, each to their own. I'm not approved in any shape, way, or form. But there's no limit to that. So there's like books coming out that kind of just that don't have any other sort of conscience other than the fact that are promoting one particular vice, as it were. So there's pros and cons. Pros and cons.
Well, see, that's the thing about I think the difference about the Comics Code and how editors are acting now or publishers are acting now is that the Comics Code was a list of set and fast hard rules, and now it's whatever the publisher decides is too racy or too risky or too offensive or something that's gonna piss people off. Unfortunately, we don't really know what that is anymore, right? Because we don't find out about this stuff until sometimes after it comes out, and then it creates an uproar. That Spider-Woman cover from a few years ago.
The Monaro one.
Yeah, remember that one? And that was the one that really kind of sparked getting the women out of spandex, right? Because now they wear armor. So that to me was, that's like a bit of people being too sensitive as far as I know Johnny likes his women sexualized in the comics with the
Can we find a better way of saying that?
Fishnets are not on Johnny's censorship list.
Right. Okay. So Johnny likes good-looking characters. Yes, he
There
does.
you go.
Now,
you go.
do I prefer
I just
sexualized
like
characters? No, I don't. On Twitter this week, I saw a really sexy Magic. And I was like, why does anyone think of drawing this pre-16-year-old kid like that? It is absolutely bonkers. Now, if you put Psylocke in that position, in that type of clothes, that's totally fine, because Psylocke's an adult, and there's a difference between the two. And just to go back to that Spider-Woman cover, I've shown, every time there's a cover comes up, or a piece of art that kind of causes uproar, I'll go back to my moderator and I'll say, Mrs. H, what do you think of this? And she'll go, yeah, all right. And that Spider-Woman one, I was like, her ass is in the air. She goes, well, how else do you crawl up walls and stuff? I was like, well, yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, that's right.
Well, there you go.
So I show my wife, I say, this is the thing that's causing all the uproar. And she just looks at me and goes, really? Yeah, really? Check it out. Woman has legs. Next on the news.
So just so our listeners understand which cover we're talking about the Spider-Woman #1. It's the Milo Manara cover, and he's got all types of risky covers out there.
Well, for a start, he's European, so
Yeah, he's got a couple of covers that I'm chasing down right now. I'm not going to throw them out there because I want to get them for cheap.
If you see these covers elsewhere, please call the MPP on.
And right, yeah. So I mean, I know we're talking about Marvel here, but his latest one that does have some legs is and this is an indie cover. It's the Unnatural, and it's basically a lady pig thing going on, and it's a gorgeous cover, but that is risky. I've got a couple of them that I've got to keep in the back room so that my kids don't see, but it's a great cover.
Well, that makes me wonder if this guy ever got any more Marvel or DC work.
What makes me laugh is
he's got a great Storm cover that's really beautiful, absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
We talked about this, but we've got you've also had people like Howard Chaykin And he,
that's true. That's true.
He's done like a shed's worth of, I'm not going to say sexualized stuff, but he tells adult stories, and because the adult stories, they're framed in an adult way. That's what happens when you tell adult stories. There has to be an element of adulthood in them to make them realistic. You can't tell a story about prostitution in the 50s without, showing a prostitute. It kind of goes against the grain. It's like saying Buffy the Vampire Slayer, there's no vampires. However, it's not Twilight.
Well, I've seen some of Chaikin's stuff, and he can be downright filthy. So, but that's fine. Whatever. People you can censor yourselves, guys. If you don't like a book, don't read it.
If you don't like it, don't buy it.
Right.
It's really that simple. I don't understand why people get so bent out of shape. Oh, this covers this covers that, blah, blah, blah. Fine. Don't buy it. It's that, change the channel. You don't have to watch it. Like, I'm not watching the Super Bowl because the Southern Patriots are in it again, but never mind.
We watch it for the commercials.
Yeah. Hold on a second. I'm British. I don't get those commercials. Damn it.
All right. So,
so Journey into Mystery, Clobber. It's the X-Files.
Oh, hey, we didn't get into the second story. Did you not like the second story either?
It's the X-Files.
Chrysalis.
Well, isn't the first story the same as the second story? Aliens.
Yeah, it is.
X-Files. Put Mulder and Scully on it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, the Mothman, basically.
All right, so let's. I just want to shout out that the second story. Hold on, the second story is by Clay McLeod Chapman and Francesco Manna. So but you know what? It's the same story. Aliens fall to Earth and take over a Boy Scout troop, and then take over the world. So, all right, yeah, clobber. Clobber. No, I like the concept. I like the idea of kind of paying homage to what Marvel has done before. And this was back. Marvel wasn't Marvel when they were doing this, right? It was timely.
Well, see, you know what Lucas was saying about the old EC comics. My granddad used to have a stash of the EC comics, and they were brilliant. Absolutely.
Yes.
This is not that. So.
No. No, because back with EC comics, they were breaking new ground. They were doing stuff. They were doing stuff that no one had done before. Now it's kind of like, it is. It's more of the same. If you were to read this story 50, 60, 70 years ago, maybe it would have been a different story, right?
Yeah.
So, all right, Lucas, what did you think?
A bit of a stretch. I don't want to discourage Marvel from trying this. I want them to keep going, but it looks like they're not going to because it's just one shot, right?
Yep.
I want to encourage them to keep going, do more of these, but for right now, the way it was put together and the cover was a bit of a stretch. I like that they're trying to do horror, but it could have been done a little bit better. And why are they putting out horror stories in freaking February? Why didn't they put this out in freaking October? I don't understand.
Yep, I get it.
So,
yeah.
How about you?
All right, so let's jump into Ms. Marvel, number 37. This is one of Marvel's longest-running titles. Look at this.
Yeah. So
go ahead, Lucas. Take it away.
Yeah, so written by G. Willow Wilson, art done by Nico Leone.
See, you don't laugh when he says the name. Why do you always laugh when I say the name?
He did well because he said it right.
Oh, bite me.
So it was one of you gentlemen that said it in our last episode. I forget which one of you guys said it, but just like sometimes I'm more interested in Spider-Man when he's out of costume and what's going on in his real life than what's actually happening when he's actually fighting bad guys.
That was me. I said that.
Okay. That's what's going on with me and Miss Marvel. Like, everything that she's about has already been done. Yeah, I mean, there's already a Miss Marvel, and we already have a whole bunch of people that can do the whole stretchy, growy thing in the Marvel universe. But the thing that is unique about Miss Marvel is what is happening in her real life, and I love that because she had a new adventure in this episode, in this issue, and that was babies, right? She had to babysit a freaking baby. This is a teenager that has never had to babysit a baby before, and is a baby with colic. And it was freaking hilarious to me because, as a parent, you know how difficult it can be. And then, so she's running out, searching for help, and she finally gets help. But then, she's got to turn that switch up, and she's got to go do the superhero thing, right? So I think the way the exposition that was put in here was great. And there's this one great panel where, I don't really like exposition, but if it's done well, it's great. Where she talks about how she loves the costume more because by being in a costume, she doesn't have to deal with real life stuff as much. And I think that was a really good note to put in there. Once again, I'm going to talk about the covers. There's 2 covers, and they're sold out almost everywhere. And there's a reason why the covers aren't great, not even good, all right. But there's a reason why they're sold out, and it's because the kid that she's babysitting towards the end, it reveals that this little baby has superpowers. So there's a lot of people speculating that this may be a new character. All right, so I'm gonna leave all the rest of that for you guys to go ahead and read into it and look into it. I personally don't see much in it yet, because it's already like a $20 book all of a sudden.
Really?
Yeah, it's a $20 book. It's crazy that it shot up that quickly. If you want one, you're going to want the cover B, the Jamie McKelvey. It's only because I'm pretty sure the stores didn't order as much, and I'm not sure the print run on Miss Marvel. But I'm just putting that out there for you guys. Like, I don't know if you guys got a chance to check it out. If you did, what did you guys think about it?
Johnny, go ahead.
It's funny you should talk about Miss Marvel out of costume, because that's exactly what I thought as I was reading this book. The first half of the book I really enjoyed, because very much like you, Lucas, I've been there.
Mm-hmm.
So I've babies with colics. What even worse? It's when it's not even your baby and you're babysitting.
Right.
Yeah, that's like a whole level. That's another level of, oh my God, will this kid shut the frack up? So I enjoyed that quite a lot. I thought it was funny. I thought it was well observed. I thought it was written really well. My interest waned as soon as she put the costume on. I was like, oh, well.
Yeah.
In fact, I was flicking through the book. I was reading it, and then I turn over the page, and boom, she's in costume. I had to go back. I was like, what did I miss? What? I was like, what? 1 minute she's like screaming about the kid, and then next minute she's in the costume. I'm like, what's going on? How? But no, it's not my Miss Marvel. Generally, isn't my cup of tea. I don't think it's aimed at me particularly. The fact that I still think Carol Danvers should be Miss Marvel or whatever is just fine. As a character, I like the fact that she's organically diverse as opposed to diverse created for commercial success. And Marvel's paid the chops with us. They've worked really, really well. The writer of this book is currently also doing double time over at the Distinguished Competition with Wonder Woman, and she's bringing that same level of kind of humor to the book that is prevalent in the first half of this book. So for me, I'm going to be a stretch. Yeah, it's a bit better than a meh, which is Sue Storm. So yeah, I'm going with a stretch on this one. More of Miss Marvel out costume, please.
Okay.
So yeah, I've liked Ms. Marvel's comic for a while. I've read most of the series, and I do enjoy. And when Johnny has talked about Peter Parker being Peter Parker, right? This is Ms. Marvel being Kamala, and she spent just as much time out of costume in her series as she has spent in costume, and they've really kind of well developed her circle of friends and her family. And they're all real characters, And the thing is that they're Muslim, so they aren't aimed at everybody, but they're real people, and that's what I've enjoyed about this book. is that it seems like at the end of the day they're all real people to me. Um, and like you said, halfway through this book, and I think when you said you kind of got bored halfway through the book, when Ms. Marvel shows up with her costume on, she says, "Where's the bad guy?" And they're like, "There's no bad guy." And I thought that was pretty funny, you know. And at that point where Johnny, where it seems like you were kind of lost, when they started doing this flood, and I'm like, where's all this water coming from? And how come it's backing up, like now it's like there's a whole river of cars. It's like a tsunami, but there's no way it should have been that flooded. But the visual gags, if you look like in the water, like there's one panel where there's like a shark fin going by, and then there's another panel where just some guy is sitting there with a bunch of empty beer bottles. You know, I thought it was kind of funny. You know, then there's pigeons and everything running around. Some guy sitting on his hood of his car fishing. I thought it was kind of funny, like almost like a Mad Magazine kind of feel to the second part of this book. And to me, the whole idea, the colicky babies, I think we can all identify with. And it is funny that like this baby seems to go around the whole book with just changing hands, people trying to just keep it out of the water and just save it. And almost to a person, that there's nobody that wants to keep the baby. They're all like, somebody else take this baby. So I thought it was pretty funny. And this issue, I think, was better than most of the Ms. Marvel issues that I've read. There's not a villain to be found in it. There's not there's not a lot really that goes on. But at the end of the day, I think it was a good book. This is kind of one of the reasons that I like Runaways, is because not a lot happens in there, but there's a lot of character. And this book definitely has character. And I believe next issue is G. Willow Wilson's last issue of Ms. Marvel, and she was the first writer on this book. So she's a co-creator of Ms. Marvel, and this is going to be the swan song for her on this book.
Well, that sucks.
So yeah, you know. But that's life. But I think that she was probably throwing everything that she could into this book, and next issue is probably going to be, probably. I hope it's the best issue yet, because Kamala's had 5 years to grow under Wilson. So, and I'm not even really looking forward to another writer taking over the character, because I just don't think that it's the same. I don't think she's written the same in Champions as she is in her own book.
Yeah, I can't read Champions. It's just I can't do it.
I know what I'm calling next time.
So I'm gonna actually flame on this book, because I enjoyed it, and I think if anybody wants to give this book a chance, somebody's given it a chance. It's up to issue 37, which is like unheard of in Marvel these days. So, do it, and I'm sure within the next couple of months there'll be a new Ms. Marvel #1, because we'll see. But kudos to G. Willow Wilson for sticking with the character for more than one story arc, and for just kind of breathing life into this character. So good on her.
I'm taking flack while she was doing it. There was a whole lot of hate at this book at one point early on. It would have been easy to say, right, you know what, enough's enough, and just move on. But she stuck with it. So
yeah, I mean, this book was probably one of the big, SJW type books out there. People were really kind of not with it, but this book is good for what it is. I don't really look at this book as an SJW book. If that's, I hate even saying something and then saying like something like Comics Gate. I don't like either side. But this book, it stands on its own merits. It doesn't have to fit into anything. I like this book. So flame on for me.
Flame on. Stretch.
Yeah, it's a flame on for me. I think you guys did have some really good points, especially with the all of a sudden changeover into the costume, and then it's like, whatever. However, I do for some of our listeners, for the Captain Marvel movie when it comes out, I would like to take a good look and see if somehow they try and squeeze in an appearance of Kamala Khan into that movie somehow. Because if you remember, Kamala Khan's first appearance was in Captain Marvel number 14, and it was just like a side person. So I'm wondering if they're going to somehow try and squeeze Kamala Khan somehow into the Captain Marvel movie coming out in March 8th, I believe, next month, or in 2 months from now, or something like that.
Well, I've heard rumors that she is in there somewhere, but
Okay.
we shall see. All right, let's jump into our last book here. We have Captain America number 7. Is that right?
Who can tell anymore with Marvel's numbering?
All right, you got me there. So this is the, I believe, the second or third part of this. Captain America is wanted for murder, and the murder of Thunderbolt Ross, who, when we reviewed the Hulk a couple of weeks ago, we were surprised that they mentioned that in that book. But yeah, Thunderbolt Ross was murdered in the last issue of Captain America, and seemed to have been murdered by a shield to the back. And of course, Steve Rogers is the only character currently walking around Marvel with a shield. Taskmaster.
I was just about to say that.
So, of course, he's suspect number 1 because of previous goings on with him in Secret Empire. But so here now, this is kind of what I like. I like Captain America's Rogues Gallery a little bit. I love Baron Struger, and they never really use him, and he shows up here as a warden of a prison. When they have the guardsmen from, like, if you remember the old Project Pegasus from like the 80s, these guys, the guardsmen are here working for Struger, and yeah, I mean, this book is really, there's not really a lot going on in this book. It's a lot of talking heads, a lot of Captain America and sitting with Sharon Carter talking to the lawyer, and kind of, it seems like, I've seen these issues before where Steve kind of has this crisis of conscience, and he doesn't feel like he can wear the mask and carry the shield anymore, and then he walks away and becomes Nomad, or then he turns his back on the government and becomes the captain. This kind of really kind of feels, it kind of makes me feel like he might kind of do something similar, but I don't know. This. They have the Winter Soldier shows up, so they're getting Bucky involved. He's trying to find out information on Cap's innocence, and doesn't really find anything. But that's the only bit of action in this book is Bucky kind of beating up a bar, which is, it's not the bar with no name, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, it is the bar with no name. Hello. Okay, well,
It's like you haven't even read the book.
it's. I should have seen that. No, I didn't see the.
Just looked at the pictures, haven't you?
No. I actually read it twice, and I didn't really see Bar with No Name. I saw a lot of. I know. I might have scanned. When I was flipping through the pages, I might have skimmed through that. But he does beat up the owl, and
That's
there's not a lot.
you don't see a lot of the owl.
Yeah, well, this is true. You don't really see a lot of the owl unless you're in the pages of Daredevil. But the funny thing is that there aren't a ton of supervillains in the bar. That's why it kind of threw me off, because usually they're all in costume. Yeah. Yeah, right. I only see a couple. I see Constrictor, and I see the owl, and maybe the Enforcers. Yeah, but that's about it. Usually there's about 700 supervillains. If you look through the pages of Amazing Spider-Man, you'd think that the place is mobbed all the time. But anyway, what's funny is that every single superhero in the Marvel Universe knows what the Bar's No Name is.
Yeah.
You'd think they'd find a spot that, hey, it's kind of hide. But hey. Anyhow, so I don't know. I guess I don't really know what to think about this issue. I don't know if it's a flame on, and I really like Captain America. I like the there's a picture with Kingpin with the big government or the big corporations, Roxxon Oil, Hammer Industries,
Sure, yeah.
you know. And I'm like, okay, so this is like this is politics now, right? So this is who Captain America is protecting and working for. So I kind of get where Steve might be feeling that. He's kind of a little bit misrepresented.
Okay.
But anyway, it's not Captain America's best issue. On the whole, though, I do like what Ta-Nehisi Coates has kind of taken the book into a different direction, where he's not or the people aren't behind him the way that they normally are. You know what I mean?
Right.
So what did you guys think?
I'll go.
Go ahead.
So I'm gonna give this a Ben Grimm. Man, this thing for me was terrible, and it's not the art or anything. The art was okay. It was good, right? The art was done by Adam Kubert, right? So that it wasn't the art. It was just how the story flowed, because some of the panels just seemed so out of place to me. Like, what if I'm picking up? And this is another thing that I had about when his Black Panther run for Mr. Ta-Nehisi Coates. If I'm picking up a Black Panther book, I want to see Black Panther in it, and I want to know what's going on with Black Panther, right? This is a Captain America book. I only saw Captain America for what? Maybe 4 or 5 panels or something like that. But in the meantime, we're out in space, we're in the bar, we're in subways, we're everywhere else except for with Captain America. And Captain America, he wasn't even in costume in this thing, man. He was sitting in a chair being interrogated by the cops or the FBI or whatever. So it didn't have any type of Captain America feel, and for my $4, it was a waste of money. Somehow, one of the covers. Let's see, how many covers were there this time? 1, 2, 3, 4. Nope, just 3. There's 3 covers, and somehow the Phil Noto, the 80th anniversary cover, that did sell out, but it's not going anywhere. It's not don't pick that up thinking that you're going to make any money off of this. So yeah, it was the Alex Ross cover, which is actually a pretty good cover. That's not moving anywhere. I don't know what's going on, but so the thing that people will want to pick up on this is that it looks like there is a new group in there. It's like the Daughters of Liberty or something in that. It kind of show up at the end, so not spoiling thing, but no, Sharon Carter, she goes to Captain America sends her away with something. Sharon Carter, she goes down to the subway and she goes into her own little secret room, Agent 0112 style, and then she goes into this portal, and then all of a sudden, like, these holograms show up, and she says, "Hey sisters, it's time to join up." And then these holograms of Valkyrie shows up, Mockingbird, I think it was Invisible Woman, Sue Reeds, Echo, Misty Knight, Shuri, for some reason shows up, and Spider Woman shows up. And they're calling themselves now the Daughters of Liberty. So if there's any reason to pick up this book, that would be it. I think this is the first appearance of this Daughters of Liberty. I don't really see it going anywhere. But if you're a first appearance hound like I am, this is the only reason to pick up this book. But even not me, I'm just going to be happy with my Alex Ross cover only because it's Alex Ross, and that's it.
So would you say not having Captain America in this book and just Steve Rogers is kind of like the reverse of having just Captain America?
Yeah, it's a little limp. The whole "woe is me, Captain America" that doesn't sit right with me,
So, okay. Well, here's a question: What would you rather watch or would rather read an entire comic book with just Peter Parker in it, or an entire comic book with just Steve Rogers in it?
Peter Parker. I think the characters of Peter Parker's world are a lot more developed. I don't really know that much about the characters in Steve Rogers' world other than Bucky and Sharon.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, you had Bucky, trying to find out the information, but it was like, okay, I'm just going to wall up these guys until they tell me something, and it turns out they don't know anything. So, like I don't understand why Captain America has Bucky doing his dirty work for him. But that's just me. As I, it was a little frustrating. I just wanted to see more Captain America. And then there's the first appearance of that space prison. I think it was called the Miriamad or something like that. As another thing that popped up. Now, why they need to have a space prison out in space for Captain America, I have no clue. I guess they'll reveal that in later issues. But
Johnny, I have an old school Captain America question for you.
My God. Go on then.
Before you give your opinion on this book, the lawyer that Steve and Sharon are sitting with, he calls her Bernie. Is that Bernie Rosenthal from the 1980s comic, Captain America comic? Steve's old flame?
It might well be. You never know.
They are in Brooklyn, and that's where
Yeah.
Steve lived back in the day.
You never know. It could well be a appearance.
And they just called her Bernie. They didn't say Bernie Rosenthal. So
I think it's a nice little touch. I think well done for picking up on that. Well done. Good call.
Except Bernie Rosenthal was a redhead, and this was a brunette. But anyway, hair color can be changed. Go ahead, Johnny.
I will fly in the face of popular opinion, damn it. This book is a massive flame on. Flame on.
All right, Johnny, do tell. Do tell.
I think in today's world where we think as our entertainment is just purely entertainment, I remember a little show called The West Wing. And it felt so much like the idea that government could be and what it should be versus what it actually was. And nobody bashed it for its politics, and everyone just agreed that it was a good show presenting two sides of an argument, most times. Now, this Captain America book has, within its pages, a debate over the role of Captain America. Is he there to support the government, or is he there to support his country? Now, this, for a soldier, whether you be superhuman soldier or just a regular G.I. Joe type of soldier, is a huge, huge debate, especially if you've got a commander-in-chief, whether it be real or whether it be fictitious, that you don't particularly think has the ability to do what he's supposed to be doing. All right? So I like the idea that Captain Stephen Rogers is having a bit of a where is my place in this world type of thing. I think it's interesting. I think it's reflective. I think it's the sort of book that Captain America needs to be sometimes, rather than being all Star Spangled Banner when the world doesn't feel very Star Spangled Banner, in my opinion. That said, I'm looking forward to Sharon Carter becoming the new Captain America. And Spider-Woman's in this book, as well as Mockingbird, which were my two favourite Marvel books a couple of years back. Do it right if we're going to bring them back. So for me, it's a huge flame on. And I'd like to quickly about the art. I do like the fact that Adam Kubert seems to be developing his own style away from his brother, who had this whole Jim Lee thing going on way back when. So I like to see Adam doing his own thing. So yeah, I enjoyed the book immensely.
I was gonna say the same thing because when Lucas said Adam Kubert did the art, I didn't even look at it, and I was like, oh wow, that is one of the Kuberts. Yeah. Now, who's the inker on this? Because the art, so color artist Frank Martin. Okay, so anyway.
So at least when I read out the credits, even if I give them the wrong names, I say everybody. However. Inker, let's see. Cover Frankfurt.
It would be colorist, right? I don't see an inker.
No, it could be Adam doing his own inks. You never know.
So the art, the color, maybe it's the colors that remind me more of the Brubaker run on Cap.
Mm.
So that's but yeah, good shout on a Kubert because he doesn't look like his previous work. So and that's a good thing. I like it when artists evolve. So
yeah, definitely. Alan Davis take note. Okay.
So this book was a bit of a stretch for me, but a flame on for Johnny. And Lucas, what did you think? You clobbered it.
It was a Ben Grimm for me. Let's see. I'm counting panels right now. Let's see.
Oh.
Okay, so he's actually got full page 2, 3. So we've got 3 pages of Steve Rogers, right?
That's fine. I'm all right with that.
3 of just Steve Rogers. None of them in costume or anything,
I'm all right with that as well.
and that's fine. I do think that I do agree with you guys that the art was pretty. I'm looking back at it. I'm thinking, you know what? It's pretty damn good. The only problem is that reading through it, it was just the panel just seemed like a little out of order. Like I felt like maybe when he was talking to the lawyer, maybe that should have gone first, and then maybe, or even maybe the fight in the bar, maybe that should have gone first or something like that. So it was the order paneling that threw me off on this whole deal. And there was nothing big in this because after reading Immortal Hulk, which is where we were talking about this first, and some of the other issues of that stuff going on, which alludes to the whole Thunderbolt Ross. I'm expecting something bigger. I'm not expecting this to end and all of a sudden this new group, Daughters of Liberty, to show up, but that's just me. But I'm definitely going to give it a shot. I'm definitely intrigued by what could happen, because it seems like they're setting it on a course for whatever. But here's the deal: what happened? I thought that he had turned himself in, right? Is that what's happening?
That's what I think he's trying to figure out. That's what he's going to do, right?
I thought in some other issue, maybe this. Okay, so in this issue, he turns himself in. And then he's at the jail, and he's at the okay, whatever. But yeah, I'm going to definitely read the next issue. But right now, it's just not doing it for me. Just a little off kilter.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it overall, I think the overall series, all 7 issues have been pretty huge. I think they've been really, really good. So, it is maybe the fact that he's not in uniform the entire issue, but. I don't know if that's really it for me because I kind of enjoy Steve Rogers as a character too. So, so anyway, so that I guess that's it. I don't think we had was your clobber the only clobber we had today?
I believe so. I think you guys gave stretch to the other ones, and I did the other ones.
Oh no! Wait! We clobbered Journey into the Unknown. Clobbered it. All right. Well, I thought we were going to have a first, because usually we clobber a lot more stuff.
Hey!
Marvel's turning the corner. All right. So that's going to do it for another episode of No Prize Podcast. Be with us in a couple of weeks, and we'll do this all over again. So you guys enjoy your day, and go Pats.
Go Rams!
Go Bud Light!
One of us is guaranteed to be right there.
There we go.
Yeah.
Dilly. All right. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.